All right, what's up, everybody? Andrew Mahoney here with Derium's Competitive Pokemon. So, I'm excited to be on the main channel today. Kevin was talking to me, just wants me to start pitching some things to the main channel, just give me some more screen time here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like hearing competitive discussion on the main channel? Do you like seeing this ugly face on the main channel? Let me know. And because, this is your guys' channel. You get to, call some of the shots, see what you guys like. What do you all like to hear about? Today, we're doing a card of the day video. I do this kind of stuff on Derium's competitive Pokemon. Just talk about the competitive potential of specific cards. I mean, Lusamine, awesome, sweet supporter card. Look at that beautiful full art Lusamine we got here. Going to be talking about this card in both standard and expanded formats in the Pokemon trading card game. Talking about the potential of this card. What is it good for? How could it be used in decks? And I'm just super stoked on this card. Excited to be here on the main channel. Thank you all for giving me the time of day and just watching the video. So let's get right down to it. Lusamine, supporter card from the brand new Crimson Invasion set. Super stoked on it, and wow, just look at this beautiful card. I think this thing is super sleek. We got a Carl hanging out there on top of her, but I mean, she looks great. I think the art looks great. The hair, super cool, and I just love the color scheme. The color scheme too. Just the green and yellow is kind of giving me this kind of like Sprite, I don't know, Sprite kind of vibe. I always think of green and yellow is like associate that with like Sprite or lemon lime or something like that. Love the color scheme. Just think this card is super dope. So Lusamine, supporter card, Crimson Invasion. You can only play one supporter card per turn, and supporter cards generally just help you draw or create effects on the field, things like that, as you're playing a game of Pokemon cards. And Lusamine reads, put 2 in any combination of supporter or stadium cards from your discard pile into your hand. So Lusamine is a recovery card, and it's a supporter card, so you're going to be using your supporter to get other supporters. At first, this doesn't sound super exciting. There are other supporters that you could have used to get other supporters at any point in the game. I mean, Skyla comes to mind right away. How often when you're playing a deck with Skyla in it, Skyla has an effect, search your deck for a trainer card, put it into your hand. So a lot of times when you find Skyla, you might play Skyla and go search your deck for something like a Professor Sycamore, or you might search for an N or a Guzma or something like that. So that automatically comes to mind, except instead of Skyla can also grab important cards like Rare Candy, Choice Band, Ultra Ball. It can grab those item cards too. Lusamine is a little bit limited in that it only grabs supporter cards and stadiums. But what's cool about Lusamine is that it brings those cards from the discard pile. So Lusamine is valuable because in standard format, there's not really any other way to fetch cards out of the discard pile. You do have a few decks that do have this option though. Gardevoir GX comes to mind right away with that Twilight GX attack, and what is super valuable about Twilight GX in a Gardevoir GX deck is that it can play so mmany copies of supporter cards. You figure if a Gardevoir GX deck plays 3 copies of Guzma, and you play all 3 copies of Guzma, then, throughout the point of the game, at some point in the game, you decide to Twilight GX and throw all 3 Guzma back into the deck. That means that you could play up to 6 copies of Guzma, even though you only run 3. So that's extremely valuable for a Gardevoir GX deck. Just being able to multiply its resources by 2 with that Twilight GX, depending on the matchup. And there's a lot of value into that. You figure in standard format, most decks only have the option to play 4 copies of N. N is an extremely valuable supporter card in standard format. It limits your opponent at the end of the game. A lot of times you want to make sure that you are able to end your opponent to low. N is a supporter card that makes both players shuffle their hand into their deck, and then they get to draw cards for the amount of prize cards that they have remaining. So if the opponent only has 1 prize remaining, you can limit their hand size, end them to 1, and then they only have 1 card left in their hand. So it's a very powerful supporter, and being able to have access to multiple N throughout the course of the game, more than 4 Ns is extremely valuable, especially at the end of the game when things are starting to wear down. Maybe your opponent was able to draw out of a couple Ns late in the game, but you were able to keep plugging away, keep limiting your opponent's hand. Being able to just play more than 4 copies of N in a game is extremely valuable. So Gardevoir GX can do this. Another deck that can do this naturally is Decidueye GX with that Hollow Hunt attack. Hollow Hunt GX allows you to grab 3 cards from your discard pile and put them back into your hand. So, Decidueye, like Gardevoir GX, is able to multiply some of its resources, able to extend some of its resources, which is very valuable. Being able to get back cards like N, Max Potion, Double Colorless Energy, being able to fetch these supporter cards. I get Guzma all the time with Hollow Hunt, N all the time with Hollow Hunt. Being able to get these supporter cards from the discard pile is very valuable in Decidueye as well. And I do like how Hollow Hunt brings the cards to the hand instead of to the deck, so you can connect plays. You can like set up a play for next turn with your Hollow Hunt by getting some game-winning cards that you need in order to close out the game. Now, back to Lusamine. I've just talked about Gardevoir GX and Decidueye GX. Both of these cards bring cards back from the discard pile and are very good, and this is one of the reasons why those decks are so good. Now, Lusamine, what Lusamine does is she allows every deck to have a little bit of that recovery power, and I think that's just super strong. Just being able to give decks like Drampa Garbodor the option to pull cards like Guzma back from the discard pile, like N back from the discard pile, giving decks like Golisopod the opportunity to bring things like Acerola back from the discard pile is just super valuable. Just giving these cards more longevity. I think once we talk about Buzzwole GX and a Buzzwole GX deck, Lusamine can make those Acerola go even further, can make those Guzma go further, just giving you the option. If you maybe you only play 2 or 3 Acerola in your deck, Lusamine means that you could play up to 5 Acerola in a game with only one more copy of Lusamine. I mean, one copy of Lusamine, you know, you could play 2 more copies of Acerola with only one copy of Lusamine. So I think that you're getting a lot of value out of this card. Also, with things like Parallel City, right? Parallel City is an amazing stadium card. It's one of the best stadium cards in both standard and expanded format, in my opinion. Just being able to limit your opponent to just 3 bench Pokemon can really hinder their strategy. And then in some cases, limiting your own bench to only 3 bench Pokemon is really good as well, because it allows you to remove weakened Pokemon that are easy knockout targets for your opponent. And the thing is, Parallel City is an amazing stadium card, but a lot of decks are only going to play 1 copy of it. With Lusamine, you could get that Parallel City back. I mean, and just being able to have 1 card, Lusamine, that can make you have a second Parallel City, that can make you have that 3rd Acerola, that can make you have that 4th or even 5th Guzma, can make you have that 5th N. I think that that is just such a valuable flexibility to have in standard format, in a format where there is no VS Seeker. Standard format very much misses VS Seeker. I mean, VS Seeker, I'm glad that it's gone out of standard format. I mean, good riddance. But that card was amazing. It allowed you to just grab, it was an item card, and allowed you to just trade it for a supporter card out of your discard pile. So you would play 4 copies of Versus Seeker in almost every deck, and you could just constantly get whichever one of supporter you want out of your discard pile and play it up to 4 more times with Versus Seekers. So that was extremely valuable, because you could play your tech 1 of supporters. You could play 1 Acerola, and then throughout the course of the game, if you played your cards right, you could play 5 Acerola throughout the course of that game with your 1 copy of Acerola that's in deck. That's the kind of thing that goes down in expanded format, and consequently, I do not think that Lusamine will be any good in expanded format. You're just better off playing Versus Seeker, to be honest. There's no reason to play a Lusamine. I can't really imagine any reason why you'd want to play 1 supporter to get back 2 supporters or a stadium card. Maybe in a deck like Mega Rayquaza or something like that, I could see a Lusamine just to get back Skyfields, but that would be the only reason that I think Lusamine would see play in expanded format, would be to retrieve those stadium cards, since it is unique in expanded format for that effect. Maybe in a deck like Primal Groudon as well, where stadiums are just extremely valuable. You could play a Lusamine to get your stadiums back in a deck like that too. So Lusamine may be good in expanded format to get back Skyfields, but to get back supporter cards, you're just better off playing Versus Seeker. Lusamine is really going to shine in standard format. In standard format, there's no other way to retrieve stadiums or to retrieve your supporter cards. So I think it's going to be great in standard format. I think it's going to fit into a lot of archetypes that just want to get more mileage out of the resources they do play. But that being said, I don't think that it'll really belong in a Gardevoir GX deck, and I don't really think that it's going to belong in a Decidueye GX deck either, just because those decks already have recovery options built in with their Pokemon. However, I think Lusamine will go as a one of in almost, maybe 50% of other decks. I think that it will be a popular card. I think she's just totally awesome. I mean, just a great looking card, great art, great effect, and I love having the flexibility built into the card game, and I just think it increases the skill of the standard format, just being able to have some flexibility, but not too much. It's not overpowered, but some flexibility with how you can reuse some of your resources throughout the course of the game. So thank you all for watching this card of the day video. Let me know what you all think of Lusamine in the comments below. Let me know what you think about hearing this competitive content on Derium's main channel. Are you excited about it? Do you like having me around? Let me know. Let Derium know. Thank you all for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel. Peace.